One of the ways that you can support the podcast is by purchasing or picking up our limited edition apparel. The shirt that I have on right now is one of the only shirts that we've brought back for a second time. Normally we'll never do that, but the only reason we brought this one back for a second time is it sold out within 6 hours. So we brought this one back. We also got a second one that we just dropped. It's our, I guess, just Halloween edition shirt. Go to elitefts.com or go to the link in the description. This really does help us out because this directly supports the Table Talk podcast. Thank you guys. Enjoy the show. You guys are selecting Merrick for your telehealth platform needs. They have a couple different ways that they go about doing this. The first is through a self-selected experience. So there's a Table Talk panel, which is the full panel. That would be the panel that I personally get twice a year. That's checking everything. You name it, it's all there. The other panel is a checkup panel with a guided optimization. You're connected with a patient care coordinator, and the patient care coordinator will meet with you to determine what your needs are, thing to be able to help optimize your health or mitigate without judgment. So the discount code again is Table Talk Merrick Health for all your hormone optimization and performance. Enjoy the show.
Today's episode is brought to you by elitefts.com. Founded in 1998 with the primary aim to live, learn, and pass on. Please help Elite FTS support this mission by smashing the like button, leaving a comment, sharing with a friend, and thinking of us for your training needs. If you can put it in a gym bag or load weights on it, Elite FTS has it.
What's going on? I'm Dave Tate. We are broadcasting from the middle of the Elite FTS weight room, where the underground still thrives and you're part of the crew. It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. All right, guys, we're back with another episode of Table Talk. Today, my guest is Zac Meyers, and I forgot to put my glasses on, but I kind of think I know these numbers. Is this currently the all-time world record still?
Yep.
In the 275 at 23:25,
Yep.
308 at 23:75. I do have a question about that. I'm going to circle back on. And then you work for that IBEW, is that
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And just electrical work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get into that as well. You also work as a coach, which I want to point that out.
Yeah.
I think do you do that with your girlfriend? Is it kind of like a joint business, or is it separate?
It's kind of joint. She does most of it because she is more into the powerlifting. I want to eventually get more schooling, I guess, for coaching, and then that would be the way I would go.
Okay. And then you're currently training for the American Pro.
Yep.
Which is 2 weeks out. When this comes out, it will be just a few days out.
Yeah.
So when you guys hear this, wait a couple days and then go see how this turns out. I think it's going to turn out really well. Your best lifts are 892, 628. And 854, and you've been in the sport competitively for about 8 years.
Yeah.
Right. I want to go like way back. I don't want to go into like childhood type of shit, but I'm typically interested in what genetic skill sets were developed when you were younger.
Yeah.
Right. Because typically those are obviously, they always will kind of play off when you get older. So when you were say you're under 14, what kind of sports were you doing, if anything?
I was playing football and baseball for the most part my whole life until I was out of high school. I mean, I played football in college for a year, but that was about it.
When did you start playing?
I started playing at 6.
So
I think I was 5 for baseball and 6 for football.
Where were you living at the time?
Grantsville, Maryland. It's like Western Maryland, Garrett County.
Okay. I was getting confused because you're in Texas now, right?
No, we're going there in January.
Okay.
That's the plan.
All right. So where are you now?
Western Maryland.
Okay. All right. So you start as the Pee Wee football. Because you're not going through puberty yet. What the first year is just a mess, right? So
yeah.
You're just like running around. So during those first years, first off, how big was the team? Right? Were you a bench warmer or were you a player?
I was a player. There was, I think there was like 15 upper teens on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing too big. It was a pretty small area, really. A lot of farmland and stuff.
So you would go from football straight into baseball, or was there a sport in between?
No, just be the winters off, be shoveling snow and stuff like that.
Okay. And then what about training? When did you start training?
I started training when I was 12 or 13. I think it was like the end of I was turning 13.
Was it school training, like weight room training? Or
yeah.
So whatever the coach had you do?
Yeah, pretty much. I was a 8th grader lifting with all the high schoolers.
All right. So what did that look like? So was it, when I was in school, it was, I'm way older than you are. So when I was in school, it was like universal machines.
Yeah.
The stupid circuit.
Yeah.
Whatever. Was it that, or were there free weights and some kind of semblance of organization?
There was some kind of organization. There was a lot of free weights. Like our big three was squat, bench, and power cleans. There was no deadlifts. And then you just do like pull downs and stuff like that, and then isometric stuff.
So that teenage age, were you stronger than everybody else?
Yeah. So like as an 8th grader going in, the first time I ever lifted weights, I bench pressed 225 for 3 sets of 5. So
okay, that's legit.
Yeah, that was more than a lot of the seniors was doing. So at the time.
So with that, during that time period, were you training just for football, or did you start training because you just loved to train?
Well, it started with football, but like my 9th grade year, I just started training because I like to train. Me and one of my neighbor buddies, I would go to football practice, and then I'd come home from football practice and work out.
Yeah.
Me and him, we'd work out in my basement together.
Would you, when I asked this, I just got really loud for some reason. When I asked this, was training more important in your brain to football? Well, I guess I just asked that straight up. Was it more important than football once you got that itch? I mean, if you're benching 225 the first time you go in, after a year, what were you benching? 315?
By the time fall ball came in for football, I was benching I maxed out at 375.
Okay.
As a 9th grader.
All right. So did it frustrate you during the season because you couldn't train the way that you wanted to train?
Not really. I was still lifting hard because I just didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd literally I'd say four nights a week after football practice, I'd be lifting.
Did you structure those nights based upon your practice schedule?
No, I was just lifting weights.
All right.
Because I like to do it, basically.
Okay. No, because it's a lot of people kind of go through that same type of thing where when I got into high school, there was, what was I playing? Offensive. So you had like an offense practice day, then a defense practice day where you really didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Then you had like Thursdays, which is like walkthroughs.
Yeah.
So it's, in my brain, I'm like, okay, Wednesday and Thursday. Those are the main training days, right? Because the practice isn't going to screw that up. And then sometimes Fridays, after the game would be a good one because I'd be all jacked up from it. And the Saturday was just not a good day, right?
Yeah.
And kind of the same type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was for some reason, I just liked pain for some reason. So after a hard practice, I would still go hard. And then as long as I ate good, it didn't really matter to me what
position were you playing?
I was offensive line, defensive line.
Okay. So on Saturdays, what did you feel? Yeah, Saturdays. So after the game, how were you beat up?
Not every time. If I was feeling all right, I would lift. But if it was a rough night, then I wouldn't. But
yeah, that's kind of how I was a little bit because it was weird, right? Because you're looking back and we know your adrenals. I mean, back then I didn't know what fucking adrenals were. I didn't know any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I just knew that Saturdays kind of sucked because you had to get up for film. right? So the whole morning was kind of like trashed and you're just whatever.
Yeah.
Then you're tired. Then after, that's when the guys I was training with at the time were powerlifters. That's when they squatted.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this sucks, man, because I want to be squatting instead of like watching film, which I didn't see the need for.
Yeah.
But now I get it now. But back then you're like, this is a waste of time. I should be training. For sure. And then Sunday would be a little bit better, but during the week is when it kind of went through there. What about your speed? Because as a lineman, obviously you don't need to be running 4.240s, but you still have to be. What was your 40 when they tested that?
My best was like a 4.9. That was my senior year, but.
How much did you weigh?
I was 215.
You're a lineman at 215?
Yeah, we had a small school.
Okay.
Yeah, we had probably about the same amount of kids as a Pee Wee, probably 15, 16 kids.
Okay.
So a lot of kids had to play both sides. So I played both sides, punt, kick, return, kick off.
Would you play on defense? Was it line as well?
Yeah, nose guard.
Which one did you like better?
Defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like hitting people. So.
Well, there was that, and there's less to remember.
Yeah, for sure.
You didn't have to look at the guy next to you and say, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
You just read the head and go.
Yeah, I just got to get around you.
Yeah. Now, you went to college after that, and you played a year in college. Where did you go? When you went to college, what was your intent when you went in?
Truthfully, I just wanted to play football. Like school was secondary, everything else was secondary. Other than lifting, but I just wanted to play football. But
so where'd you go?
I went to Alderson Broadus for a year and a half. Kind of like the big fish, little pond. Then I went to a bigger pond and kind of found out, and I wasn't about it. And then I didn't like school either, so
yeah,
for what I was wanting to do, I didn't have to do school. So that was kind of my thought. I was like, I don't have to do this for what I want to do. I'm not going to do it. I'd rather just make money than spend money that I don't have. When
you went in, did they change your position?
Yeah. I went to fullback. I was short yards fullback. I have a lot of explosive power side to side.
Yeah.
So
did you like that?
Yeah, no, because I was like, I get to touch the ball, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't get to play as much. So.
Well, it's different too.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're not beating people on or hitting people. Well, I guess you are hitting people, but it's different.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm going to go out on a limb here and probably think as fullback, you like just like running over people.
Yeah.
More than running around people.
Yeah.
Right. Because that would be like a lineman mentality.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I just didn't get to play a lot. And
all right. So when you say when you went from a small pond to a bigger pond, are you talking about high school to college, or did you go from college to a different college?
No, high school to college.
Okay. So you stayed there about a year, year and a half, and then realized school's not for you. What did you want to do before you decided on what you were doing now, or did you know this is what you wanted to do?
I wanted to be a prison guard.
Okay.
That's what I was planning on doing.
Yeah.
But it never lined up for some reason. And then one of the people I was working out with was a union worker, electrical union worker. And then he said, sign up, and I did. And
looking back now, would you rather be the prison guard or the union worker?
I'm happy where I'm at as a union worker.
I mean, you're an electrical man.
Yeah.
Out of all the trades, that's probably one of the better ones to be in right now.
Yeah. And it's the most evolving because there's new stuff coming out every day,
So what do you do?
I'm mainly like install like new buildings, mostly go in wired up and work till you're worked out of a job, basically.
Do what? What was that?
You work till you work yourself out of a job. So
what do you mean by that?
So like you start it, and then once the building's done, you move on to the next job.
Okay. So it's not like you're not building robots that are going to replace you.
No.
Okay.
No.
So,
nothing that specific.
Yeah.
It's mainly just upper voltage. Nothing
commercial or residential?
Commercial, industrial.
Mm-hmm.
Not residential. I mean, there is some, but not where I'm at.
And then what's a day look like for you? Because I'm trying to now kind of look at how this looks before you get into the gym to train.
Yeah.
So you're on your feet and knees all day.
Yeah. Bending pipe, running wire, pulling wire. We install like equipment. So then we'll pull wire to the equipment, and some of the bigger stuff would be like motors, big motors for machines and stuff. We pull wire to those, and just stuff like that. Nothing.
You've been doing this for how long?
6 years now.
All right. When you started doing that, how did it impact your training?
Not too much, because the biggest thing was a lot of traveling. Like when I first got in, I was working like 2 hours away. So I was getting up like at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, traveling 2 hours, working 10 hours, driving 2 hours back, working out for 2.5, 3 hours, because I was just tired from the day. So like I was really sluggish throughout my workout, and there really wasn't a plan at the time. I was just lifting.
Is this before you were competing?
No, I was competing, but I was just doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't organized as much, I would say.
How did you lay that out? Because a lot of people listening do that.
Yeah.
Basically live that kind of life.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you didn't find excuses because of where you are now,
Yeah.
right? A lot of people I'll talk to have a million excuses, such as those things. So how did you manage that? If you have that big travel, was it just screw it, I'm doing it anyhow because it has to be done on this day? Or did you just move it to the next day?
I did like a 3-day split. So I do squat, bench, dead, take a day off.
Okay.
So I was working out 6 to 7 days a week, depending on my split and how everything fell.
So did you move the heavy days around based upon travel, work, or anything like that? Or it's just been the same solid thing the whole time?
Same thing. Just getting it in. It didn't matter how I got there. If it was a little sloppy that day, it didn't matter. As long as getting reps, that was all that mattered.
What was one of the worst ones that you can think of? Just early experiences?
Yeah.
To where, we've all had bad training, right? But it's one of the worst ones where you're like, say you're peaking for a meet. This is a heavy day, 3.5 hours to get there. Tire blows out on the way.
It was never on the way home from work. It was always the way to work. It seemed like when that stuff happened. So, but there was a couple days where there was a car crashes and had backed up in traffic for 2.5 hours, then still have another hour drive.
Did you have to worry about the gym being closed?
No, it was 24/7. So it just had a key fob and get there when you get there.
All right. So spotters and shit like that didn't matter because you're not using them anyhow.
Yeah. Yeah. If I got stuck, I just kind of, if it was bench, I just kind of rolled it off to my hips and hip thrusted it off, or squat. I didn't really fail too much. I would say, I guess I wouldn't push it as hard, but
what do you mean by that?
On squats, like I would listen to my body basically. If it says no,
how do you know that? Like, you get what I'm saying? Because I'm really big on this auto regulation thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So you get into the gym, you don't want to be there. It's late, you're tired.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's going to be a bad day.
No,
not yet. So when do you decide that this is not going to work, and then you have to pivot on it? So let's use squat as an example and make it a little easier. Do you do any warm ups when you go in?
No.
I'm going back then.
Yeah, back then, no. I just went straight into it. I take my pre-workout, then do my ritual.
What's the ritual?
I got to drop a deuce before I start working out every day.
Mm-hmm.
So do that, go straight to lifting. I'll start with the plate and work up my plates until I hit my top set. And then I'll have a couple back downs, and the top set would just vary. Depends on how I felt for the day.
When do you think that you make that decision? Is it around 50%, 60%? Of what that top set would be, not your max?
I'd probably say about 65, 70%. I would decide and be like, maybe just drop from, maybe if it was an 85% day, I'd drop it back to 80, or it wouldn't be less than 80. I'd at least do 80% of my working total, of my working max.
Yeah. So the goal of that session was to handle the weight, or get X number of reps, or
just get the reps.
The reps or the weight?
The reps was for me.
Okay.
At the time.
All right. So if it's a 5 rep day,
it's
supposed to be 720.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like that, then you drop it down 700, but it's still 5.
Yeah, still 5 reps.
All right. So it's not dropping down. Some people will drop the reps.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will drop the weight and the reps.
Yeah.
So you were just trying to stay in that rep range.
Yeah.
For each block.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So to skip forward a little bit, because your first meet you totaled, I'm not going to look, like 1825. Is that right?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Something. Yeah, something. It's in there, but fuck, I'm going to look just to see, because I highlighted it. 1818.
That's close.
These freaking 0.3.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to take the 0.3s away from anybody.
Yeah, because that'll make a difference between first or second.
No, actually 18.8. So like 1819.
Yeah.
Right. Is what that was. When you did that first meet, how much powerlifting training were you doing before that?
I'd say probably pretty close to a year, because we did like an unsanctioned push-pull the December before that meet.
Yeah.
And it was just like basically a little local gym that's having a fundraiser for somebody, and just did a little push-pull for it. So I was probably about a year before that meet. I was getting ready.
It's going to be a weird question for you, because you were already strong to begin with. Did you wait to lift in a meet because you didn't think you were strong enough?
No, I wouldn't say I wasn't strong enough. I just didn't really know about powerlifting itself. I mean, I knew about lifting and stuff, but powerlifting in its own, like, I didn't really know much about it. I had one friend that did it in high school, and he always tried to get me to do it, but I never really pulled the trigger until then.
So when you were training for this one, that's an objection, by the way, that most people will have, is they won't compete.
Yeah.
Because they don't think they're strong enough, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because when you go to a meet, I tell all those people, just go to a meet.
Yeah.
Like, don't compete, just go to a meet and look at who's there, and you'll find out real quick.
Yeah, where you're at.
Strong enough.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Well, somebody always has to be like the weakest of the meet.
Yeah.
But the odds of you being that person who's listening is pretty low.
Yeah.
It's typically not that case. So to me, it's always been a poor objection.
Yeah.
Where I can see not knowing about the sport. So how did you learn outside of that it's high school,
Yeah.
you know, doing the powerlifting? How did you learn about the sport during the time you were training for this?
A guy moved up from Louisiana, and he did the powerlifting a lot, and he always talked about it, and we looked it up and found a meet. That's about all it was.
So it wasn't. It's interesting, right? Because there's pros and cons with social media. We've seen it for years.
Yeah.
That's not what got you into it, though.
No.
And most of the people I speak to, that's not what got them into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like once you get into it, because somebody will introduce you to it.
Yeah.
Then you kind of find, oh, there's people that are actually doing this.
Yeah.
You know, on social media. So it's not the catalyst I think people think it is.
Yeah.
And once you're in, it definitely is.
Yeah.
You know, because you can kind of see what other people are doing. Walk me through that first meet. Nerves?
No, not really. I got there, and it was in Morgantown, West Virginia, and there was 2 guys that stood out above everybody. I think the one guy totaled like 22, and the other guy was upper 2100s, and that really like opened my mind for powerlifting in itself.
How so?
Just to be strong, I guess. Like I really wanted to be strong.
So it wasn't intimidating? Like, how in the hell are these guys doing this?
No, it's more like, that's awesome. I want to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you squatted, I'll look again. I think it was 7.
Yeah, I think 760-ish. Maybe a little lighter.
All right. So that's USPA meet.
Yeah.
I can't see on here. Did you miss any lifts?
I'm pretty sure I did, but I don't quite remember. I think I missed the bench and I missed the deadlift, I think.
All right. So out of all 3 of those lifts, there's a feeling you get when you stand up with her. For me, it's always been the squat, right?
Yeah.
There's a feeling you get when you stand up with something heavy and you finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Out of those 3 lifts in that meet, which one lit your fire?
I'd have to say bench, because
479.
my bench has always been good. But compared to everybody else's bench, like, not a lot of people was putting up them kind of numbers at that meet.
Yeah, that was actually 490.5.
Yeah.
So can't take the 0.5 away, right? And then the pull. So after that meet, there was these dates are weird. How long was it until you did the next one? That's the same meet. Oh, you entered different divisions? Juniors and open?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was a year, right?
Yeah.
Did you go back to the same meet the next year?
No, because that gym went with the USAPL after that. After that meet, they had one meet in the USAPL, and then they went to USPA, and then they went to USAPL.
All right. So then the next. All right, here we go. So there's from that meet at 677 and the 308, your squat goes to 749 in the next meet. Bench goes from 490 to 573. Deadlift 650 to 727. So what changed? Multiple factors changed, but which factor would be the one that you would think made that jump?
I'd say just more constant training. I'd say with gear, but I'd say that should probably be the better.
What do you mean by more constant?
Like, just I was getting a better idea of how to train.
Okay.
So it was better training overall.
So how did you lay it out then? Not the first meet, because that was like just slapping shit together, right?
Yeah.
Now the second one, you're like, I like this.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you're like, I love this shit.
Yeah.
Then you start laying it out. Did you go with like a 5-3-1 type of thing? Or is that what you used?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you lay that out, which was more structured than probably what you were doing.
Yeah.
And then you rode that wave. How long were you able to ride that wave of just using like a general template, more or less?
Yeah.
Before you had to start to pivot away from that a little bit?
Probably after that next meet, I'd say I went, because that would have been 2017, I guess.
Yeah, because that goes from where are we at up to 2040 total.
Yeah.
So during that time, what were the things that you had to change with your training or diet or whatever?
I never really focused on my diet. My diet's still trash.
Yeah.
But I guess getting a better group of guys around me and pushing each other, that really helps me, at least. I mean, I do a lot of training by myself, but I mean, that's one reason we're moving to Texas, because there's more powerlifting community. So, but we're just, that meet, I had a better push from everybody around me.
How so?
Just everybody was competing with each other, trying to be better. There was more guys coming in to be powerlifters at that time, and it wasn't just a couple of us.
So how big was that crew that you were with during that time?
There's like I'd probably say 10 of us probably at that time.
How long did that crew stay together?
3 years, I'd say, to 2020-ish, the fall 2020, I think.
Now, was this more like a rah type of crew, or a crew that was focused on trying to find weak points and technical issues and stuff like that?
More raw, but I mean, there was more technical as we went, it just, everybody was learning together, growing together and just being better.
So with that learning and growing, the learning aspect, where did that then come from?
Just for me personally, I was just I was getting more online with training regimens and how to move your body to work specific things, I guess.
So how did you navigate? This is going to be a good podcast, because how did you navigate all that, right? Because what we hear now is information overload. People can't figure it all out. We obviously figured it out.
Yeah.
Right. So how did you navigate, and how did you know, like, this is probably bullshit, or let's not say bullshit, like, this is not going to work for you, this is working for you? Because there is a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And it's always growing. There's always going to be more.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I really focused on my back, a lot of back strength, back accessories. Not so much on my leg accessories. There's always leg curls and leg extensions, leg press. But I mean, my back strength has really, that's when it started really developing.
And how did you do that?
I did a lot of rep ranges of 15 to 20. And then I would, getting closer to the meet, like I would drop it down, just like 5-3-1, just with a bigger rep range.
What movements?
Pull downs, rows,
just basic stuff.
Yeah, basic stuff. I mean, you don't have to overcomplicate it,
Yeah.
Simple things work too, as long as you're training with intention.
Yes. When would you start to pull those out, or not pull them out, but back them down? Because let's say you're starting at the 15, how many weeks out is that?
Probably 9 to 10 weeks. Then I'd go 3-week intervals. I'd do that for 3 weeks. Then I'd drop down to 8 to 12, and then I'd drop down to 6 to 10.
Same movement?
For the most part, yeah. So, because like, once you change the movement, it's one thing to be in off season, but during season, like, there's no really reason to change something up if it's working.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's not working, then yeah, I would do different grip for like pull downs or rows. Just change it up some way.
Well, with the way that you're explaining it, you have a long runway.
Yeah.
Right. So there's 12 weeks, and if you're starting at 15s,
yeah, then
obviously you're going to be able to keep adding some weight.
Yeah.
Because you're dropping the reps. How low did you drop them? Did they go down to triples, or did you just stop them at sixes?
Mm.
And then did they, I'm trying to keep it in context back then, did they pull out at any time before the meet, outside the last week?
No, I just, like I said, like if it was like, if I got like a nagging injury, or if something was to happen, or I just wasn't feeling the movement, like, I wasn't getting a good squeeze or a good rep, or good solid 6 reps or so, or like, it depends, whatever my rep range was that time, I would just switch it out. And they had you have your cables, and then you have the lap machine with I don't know what it's called. It like has the row attachment, like it spreads as you pull down.
Yeah.
So I would do that instead of pull downs to get a better squeeze at the bottom.
All right. So for those accessories, you have your main lift. So we'll get more into your training now, right? But so you have your main lift and you have the accessories. With what is the intent when you're training those accessories? How much are you really worried about the weight, or are you more worried about full range of motion, squeeze, and how it feels on the muscle?
At the time, I was working more of the weight. I wanted the more weight, the better.
Okay.
But getting down closer to the meat, it became more of the squeeze, the fullness, the blood flow.
When the reps are lower.
Yeah.
How?
Because
not why, but how? Because you would think, if say somebody's peaking, we'll use the row machine, right? Because people can relate to that.
Yeah.
If somebody's peaking that and you start to get to the 6s, it's heavier. So your natural intent as a lifter is going to want to just,
force it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're actually going reverse as the reps went down. Your intent is increasing.
Mm-hmm.
Is the tempo decreasing, or you're not really aware of that?
The tempo is increasing because I'm taking more time between the reps, or not the reps, but the sets.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So at that point, were you still training 6 or 7 days a week? How was it? What was the split like then?
It became more of I probably had like 2 push days and like 2 bench days, 2 squat days, and a deadlift day.
All right. So in context, again, for those people that are following, because I'm sure it's different now as things have moved forward, were they both moderate to heavy, or was there a heavy and a light?
There's a heavy and a light. It'd be like a front squat or a heavy leg press instead of a heavy squat.
Okay. So if the heavy squat is 600, right?
Yeah.
The heavy front squat.
It would be a medium to light, or medium to heavy weight push for the front squat.
Right,
just more focused.
Yeah. Okay. Then on that light day, what are the reps? They go up?
Yeah. It would. So as the meet's getting closer, my light day, the reps would go more, and my heavy day, the reps would go down.
It's not like old school shit right here.
Yeah.
Now with the bench, was the light day like not the bench, but an incline or something like that?
Yeah, incline or military press.
Yeah, this is serious old school shit here.
Yeah.
And so how high would those reps go as you were peaking? 10?
12.
Okay,
go up
so
to
10 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more of a recovery.
Yeah.
Hypertrophy recovery, what do you want to call that?
Yeah.
How long were you able to stretch that out? That training that way?
I'd say probably till Nationals at 2020. And then January of 2021 is when I got with Travis Rogers.
Okay.
And that's when I really started growing.
Okay. So if I peel this back, we got like 3 years, 2 or 3 years of like 5-3-1 basic stuff just to kind of learn the movements and all that. Then you got another couple years, 2 to 3 years of this heavy light, trying to master that. This is important, by the way, right? Because a lot of people want to go to where you are now.
Yeah.
But they don't see what you did to get there.
Yeah.
Which is kind of more important.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So interesting enough, like, how come you didn't do what the people will do now today? They'll figure out what you're doing now, and then they'll try to replicate that.
Yeah.
Somehow you avoided doing that. Mm-hmm. Was it completely unintentional?
I just wasn't online like that. I don't think back then, like, there isn't as much of an influence as there is online as there is now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more people giving out information, free information, to grow and get better faster. Like, you don't have to go through all them growing phases. You can do it almost immediately as you're first starting lifting, instead of taking multiple years to learn it.
Mm-hmm. So if you could do it over again, you would have cut those years out?
I wouldn't say I would cut them out, but I would definitely have grown a lot faster. Instead of taking multiple years to do it, I would take 1 or 2 instead of 3.
All right. What would have been the things that you would have changed?
Uh,
Or the things you could look back on now and just say that was kind of stupid?
working out so much, so often, I would definitely changed. Like before I started working in the union, like I was lifting twice a day, so that, and it wasn't like, no, there was no thought behind it. I was just lifting heavy both sessions, like just pounding the weights.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely wouldn't recommend that, because, like, I mean, if you're eating enough, it's one thing to maintain that, but long term is not very sustainable.
Mm-hmm. So when you started working with Travis, what changed?
The intent, and it got even more focused, I guess. More definitely, I would have to say focused, because more like I had more specific things to work on. Like, he would give me, like, if something was bothering me, he would try to help me work around it and do something else, instead of me having to look it up or anything. Like, he had a better idea, I guess, about lifting than I did at the time. I'm not saying that I do now, but
Yeah. So if you have focus and intent, right, which are 2 of the things that changed, was that more of every session had a purpose,
yes,
right? Where, I mean, every session has a purpose, right?
Yeah,
It always
yeah,
has a purpose, a more defined purpose.
yes,
All right. So how so? Like, because the purpose, obviously, before that, here's this top, right? Any power lifter, like, here's the top weight that needs to be done for X number of
Yeah.
sets and reps. Everything else is just like shit you have to do.
Yeah.
Did those other things take on more purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they was more, they was help driving the goal, I guess you could say. The idea of what the weak points was, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
He was hitting more of my weak points instead of just hitting an everyday accessory.
How would you communicate that to him to know what that was?
Just before, like, he would program me a month, right? And we would talk before that, while he was making it. Like, I would tell him what's bothering me, what I feel like I need work on. And so, I mean, I got a pretty good idea about my body at that point. So I have a pretty good idea of what is weak and what needs help. So he just really hammered different accessories, I guess you could say, to help me build the weak points.
All right. So let's take the squat as an example, right? So if your squat feels weird,
Yeah.
then how do you run that through your head to know what to, because you've learned how to auto regulate your training, right?
Yeah.
Which is the hardest thing for lifters to do, which we talked about it a little bit when you'll pivot the weight on that top set.
Yeah.
But there's also this different level, which you're talking about now, based upon how things feel.
Yeah.
So if it's your squat and it could be the descent, it could be the ascent, any part of it that feels a little wonky.
Yeah.
What are some examples of issues that you dealt with through that wasn't just falling out of the groove type of thing?
Yeah.
That was just like, this is an issue.
Yeah.
What's an example of one of those?
My biggest one was probably my adductors. Like, I have a wider squat stance, so they really took a beating first starting out with Travis. And I mean, even just the whole time I was with Travis, they really took a beating. And it was a lot with my squat form. And but I mean, we built up my hips and my hips a lot to help with my adductors.
So when you say take a beating, they were sore afterwards, they were injured, or they just didn't feel like they were flexing as hard as they could when you were lifting?
They was just a sore very often. They was being overworked
Yeah.
a lot. So because how I used to squat was very hip dominant, and it really took in on my adductors.
Did you bring the squat in from then, or you just bring the adductors up?
From then, we was strengthening the adductors, and then I brought my feet in a little bit, and I used to duck my toes, but then I straightened my toes up to help with putting more pressure on my outer leg instead of my adductors.
What were some of the things that you did to strengthen the adductors during that time that worked?
We did a lot of the adduction machine. We did that, and
reps. What kind of reps?
It was more of a higher reps, 12 to 15. And
when you started doing those, did you notice a difference?
Yeah.
Immediately?
Almost.
Okay.
Like it was pretty quick. Just strengthening my adductors, and just.
Then after that started to feel normal, do you pull them out?
We kept them pretty much clear through
the
meet prep, just because just because how my squat was at the time.
So with the squats, when you run into a weak point, whatever we're going to call it, is that how you determine it, by what feels beat up the most afterwards, or are there other ways that you process if something's weak?
There's other ways, just like the explosion out of the hole. Like it could be your hamstrings, and it also depends how you squat too. So, but for me, like if I was having a problem getting out of the hole, we would do more hamstring stuff. If I was having problems with the descent, it'd be more quad dominant. For me.
Yeah. Were there ever times when all of those were happening at the same time?
No.
Okay.
No.
So it's just prioritizing one of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So if we look at the bench and kind of go through that same conversation. So how do you determine the weak point in the bench based upon the same philosophy that you're using?
It'd be a lot for me. Like it's a lot of my outer chest and my triceps, just stabilizing the triceps, stabilizing the weight. But my outer chest, since I go wide on the bench too, my outer chest takes a pounding.
Now, is that the day after, like the soreness type of thing that we're talking about, or just the strain that you feel while you're doing it?
Just the strain while I'm doing it.
All right. And what does that feel like to know when? Let me ask this differently. What does that feel like when you know that it needs to be addressed? Because it's always there to a degree, right?
Yeah. Usually, like, it would come down to if I'd have a pop and I'd tear scar tissue.
Yeah, that's
And basically what it come down to, and then I'd go get a massage and all that, and get it worked on and work it out.
How frequently were those happening when it was, say, at its peak?
Usually it didn't happen until the peak, and still I was starting to peak, because just the more volume, the heavier volume, more regularly, it was really pounding my outer chest, and like that nerve that runs down the front side, I guess, of your arm.
So if it popped, right? Because I know what you're talking about. So if it popped, how far did that put you back?
Usually about a week.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes it'd be a little less, sometimes a little more. It just depends how fast I got a massage, or how fast I got to it.
All right. So while that was going on, or was happening, I'm kind of making an assumption it doesn't happen now, but it may, but we'll figure that out later. But as that was going on, it can be a mental fuck too, right?
Yeah.
Because you're 4 weeks out and
Yeah.
like,
For
what is
sure.
this? And outside it, was it just the massage that you did to be able to get to the meat? Because there's like fixing the issue,
Yeah.
which happens after the meet.
Yeah.
But then there's just getting to the meet. So was it just the massage, or were there other things that you did to try to expedite the recovery from that?
It was usually just a massage because like, it would be the massage, and then I'd like move my grip in to help take some pressure off my outer chest. And then
Would you pull it back out before the meet, or were you just in all the way through?
I'd pull it in until the meet.
All right.
And then I'd pop it back out to my wide.
Okay. And so in the warm-up room, or just on the platform?
In the warm-up room, I'd start.
All right. I've lived this life too. So I know it very well. And it's a redundant question because you already kind of answered it, but do you think the massage helped, or do you think it was just the time?
It definitely helped because it was just a real deep massage into my that nerve there and that scar tissue that had it built a knot in there, and you get the knot out, and as long as it don't pop again, it should be it's usually fine for me.
Yeah, see, I kind of went back and forth on that one because after a while I started to think the knot's what's actually holding it together, like the scar tissue. Then if they broke it all up, then it would reoccur. Then it'd be like, fuck, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should just let it stay. But sometimes it worked. Yeah. So I found other ways around it, outside of that, because I got to the point where if it was let me backtrack, like the regular massage, not super, super deep, helped. But when they went like radically hard, that was not good, because that was the one. And I don't know the answer. It's just, I had a reoccurring issue with that for like 4 years and just over and over. So I'm interested to see how other people have dealt with that. Because it is same type of thing though. First thing I would move my grip in, and then now I had a bench shirt too, which was going to be able to help when I competed. But and then move it out at the meet. Just hope to hell it stayed. But if it didn't, I didn't care because it was the meet. So fuck it. I'd rather it happen there than in training. Yeah, for sure. But it is. I needed. God, I got to think way back. I needed 3 weeks. So if it happened like within 2 weeks, which it really shouldn't, but sometimes it did, like that last bench thing, then it's like, man, I don't know. And it kind of always worked out, but I didn't know until you got there. Yeah. To the point where I didn't even want to take openers. I mean, I didn't even want to take warm-ups. Like I remember telling Bob Young was this guy helping me the one time that I'm only going to warm up to 275, but I'm going to open at 520 because my chances of tearing this at 275. Yeah. No, 225. I'm going to warm up 225, then go out and put my bench shirt on. Because if I did 275 raw, it's probably going to blow off. Yeah. Then it never did. But how shitty would that be? Oh, yeah. To pop it in the warm up room. That'd be worse. That would suck. All right. So we have the outer pack issue. How would you know if it was triceps?
It just usually depend on how like shaky my arms are. Like I could have a fairly good idea on how hard it was going to be over press if my arms was shaky. Now it don't really matter for so much for my triceps, but like back then my triceps was a pretty good giveaway. If they was shaking, it's either going to be a miss or it's going to be a rough push.
Do you still shake now if the weight's heavy enough?
Yeah. I mean, but we do, like, now that I'm with Credo, we do a lot of board presses and stuff to really focus on the triceps and really strengthen the triceps. So
has that helped with the shaking?
Yeah, I think so for me.
Because that's another one I'm really interested in too, because it seems like I've never found anything to like fix it except time. Yeah. But normally I would say, well, when you get stronger, it will go away, but you're fucking strong.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know what I'm saying? And there's a few of you out there that I see that, I mean, sometimes it's like radical. It's like, oh shit, you know, is this just nervous system that's saying, fuck you right now? Or what is this? Because you can still press it.
Yeah.
But I mean, watching it is cringy.
Oh yeah.
You know,
some of them, as you can see, a visible shake.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty crazy.
Has it gotten a little bit better with the stuff that you've been doing now?
Yeah.
And that's just the board work and the lockout work?
Yeah, board work, chain work, band stuff. I mean, I done band stuff with Travis, but I'm doing a lot more heavier banded stuff now, I guess you could say. And then I'm hitting a lot more heavier volume more frequently with bands and chains and board work, especially now. Like last week I hit 635 or 645 for 4 on a double board, and it's just helping me overload and getting my triceps used to pushing that heavier weight, getting closer to the meat.
The shaking will start when you take it out, right? So just the overload, you know, using the more weight is what's kind of helped that.
Yeah.
Now with that, is there anything you're intentionally doing that you weren't doing before? Squeezing the bar hard or you know, anything like that?
I'm engaging my lats more, but I mean, I guess that would help my triceps too, just getting them in a better pushing position.
How are you engaging the lats more?
Like breaking the bar more, I guess you could say. Be pretty easy.
Talk me through that. So breaking how? Like you're trying to pull apart, I'm
twisting it.
Twisting, okay. So the pinkies.
Yeah, well, I already have like a artificial twist.
Yeah.
So I have like the bar on an angle in my hand, in my palm.
Is it thumbless?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll do extra by ripping with my pinkies.
Did you always bench thumbless, or did you change that when your pecs started firing up?
Actually, yeah, kind of. It was my pec and my wrist at the same time. My wrist started hurting, and then it just went down my arm to my pec.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, let me try without a thumb, and then the pain went away almost immediately within a couple sessions.
Yeah, for me it was a game changer because you can tuck more.
Yeah.
You get a lot of people that are telling you you're going to drop the bar in your face because you're not wrapping your thumb around it.
Yeah, but I mean,
I know
people with thumbs wrap their thumbs, drop it too. So.
I know. I'm just asking that just out of humor because I've been told that so many times. It's like, you know what, man? I've seen like only people I've ever seen do that were like college athletes.
Yeah.
Who didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, just being explosive for no reason.
All right, so let's move to the deadlift then. How are you spot checking the weak points there?
Deadlift for me is kind of hard because I'm still not. I don't think I'm a good deadlifter. I mean, I'm a lot better than what I used to be. It's still hard for me to do key things on my deadlift. So I really got to focus.
What do you mean key things?
Engaging my lats, doing my checklist prior to lifting.
All right, fuck it. We'll go into that now because I was going to ask checklists on all the lifts. So if it's your deadlift, what is your mental checklist as you go through?
So as I grab the bar, I try to break the bar on my deadlift too. So I'm tucking my elbows even more. And then as I'm tucking, I'm pulling slack and getting in position. Then I drop my hips and pull a little bit more because like I'll usually like shift my weight from my toes to like my mid foot.
What do you mean pull a little bit more? So you're down there, right? You're breaking the bar, you know, pull the sternum up.
Yeah.
Then when you say pull a little bit more, you mean more on the bar?
Yeah. So like I can get an extra ½ inch probably out of setting my hips.
Sure. So you're not trying to actually lift the bar at that point in time. You're just setting everything.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I asked pull a little bit more, some people will describe pulling their shoulders down as pulling a little bit more. You're actually trying to pull the slack out, right?
Yeah.
Which most people don't know what we're talking about. I'm trying
Yeah.
to get you to explain, what that is. So that's got to be patience.
Yes, for sure. That's probably the best thing to learn for your deadlift is patience,
Yes.
because if not, you're gonna pull too early or pull too late. You can pull too late and you'll be slacked.
When do you know it's time to pull it off the ground then? What position are you looking for?
I feel it in my abs, like the pressure against my belt. That's what I'm looking for. If once I get tight enough in my abs, that's when I start to pull.
Okay. Then as it comes up, it's just ride this out, or are there more cues going through?
Nope. I'm just pulling. Hold on.
Yeah. Then if it slows down, what goes through your head?
Fuck. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this ain't going.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
that's a good question right there. So if it's training, it's not a meet,
mm-hmm.
and you get to that point where it's slowing down and you start thinking that, do you just set it down or say fuck it and try to pull through it?
It depends on my skin, truthfully, because I don't wear baby powder during training. If it gets caught on my skin, I usually just drop it.
Okay.
But if it's still moving against my skin, I usually try to continue to lift. But
no, but that's a huge lesson right there.
Yeah.
Right, because you say the old you, like 7 years ago, you're pulling on the fucker no matter what.
Oh yeah.
And now you got to recover from that.
Yeah.
Which is a mess.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where, to have that ability to know this is just drop it. Cause you can try it again.
Yeah.
And if it's just fucked up, you just fucked it up.
Yeah.
You can come back and do it and it won't, I'm not going to say it's not going to be hard, and make it.
Yeah.
Now in a meet, you got to make a better decision.
Yeah.
Because it depends on the attempt.
Yeah, for sure.
What you got to do.
Yeah. I don't really play the game like some people, but as long as I'm doing better than I did last meet, that's all that matters to me.
Okay.
Well, at least for deadlifts. Because it's kind of my shittier lift compared to my other two, I guess. Yeah. As of right now. I mean, it's getting a lot better, but.
All right, so let's circle back to the squat. What are the cues there? Because it's American Pro. You walk out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so walk me through that. How you not how you approach the bar, but as soon as you grab the bar, how do you mentally set up and walk yourself through the lift?
Biggest thing for me on my squats, my big toe, right? Like, because I changed my squat position to be now more like glute dominant, I guess, compared to hips. I feel like I'm getting, so for me, I get under the bar, I get a breath. Again, with the same thing with my deadlift, I wait for the pressure to go against my belt, and I have my weight on my toes.
Okay, so you're under the bar. Let's break this down a little bit more. So you're under the bar and you're wedging, right? Mm-hmm. And with that, it's the same type of thing you're doing with the deadlift.
Yeah.
Right. So now you're applying pressure on the bar, but not enough to actually pick it.
Yeah.
Okay. This is important too, because this is something I try to drill through people's head. And meanwhile, you can feel the force in your feet.
Yeah.
And you're not taking it out yet. You're just applying enough pressure to know if your feet are where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay. And your focus is on the big toe.
Yeah.
Before it comes out. Mm-hmm. And then how much air do you breathe, or how much air do you take for the pick?
First one, probably about half. My third attempt would probably be a full breath.
Okay.
So then I'll get it, and then I'll still be focusing more on my big toe, and then knees over my toes, and then a big chest for squats.
All right. So then step.
Mm-hmm.
Then you reset.
Mm-hmm.
So then with that, so now you're in, I don't want to skip over this because the step's important too.
Yeah.
Because some people will take like 8 steps.
Well, it depends how much the bar is whipping for me, depending on how many steps I take. Because sometimes like I will take an additional 1 or 2 steps if my feet feel too narrow, too wide, where my the weight placement is on my feet.
Okay.
It could all play play with me in my head.
All right. So now your feet are set.
Mhm.
Then what's the mental checklist? Because it's almost like another exercise just started.
Yeah.
Right. You still got to be tight, but you got to find a way to bring more air in,
Mhm.
unless it's the third, and then you just suffer the whole time.
Well, I could still get a breath in, but because I don't. A lot of people frown on how I get my air. I get it through my stomach. I don't breathe through my chest like you're supposed to, I guess. I don't know. But
I would think you're supposed to pull through your stomach, but
Yeah.
anyhow, I would
Yeah.
agree with what you're doing.
but I'm putting a lot of force on my big toe as I'm going down in my descent. And
So before the descent, though, right? You're waiting for the bar to settle,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So are you doing that, or is somebody else calling you down? I mean, obviously the judge is going to call you down, but if I have a training partner and I'm squatting, they're going to sit there and say, hold, because they can visually see.
Yeah.
So are you just going off feel, or is somebody telling you?
I'm just going off feel.
Okay. So when the bar's solid
Mhm.
and your toes down,
Yeah.
then what breaks first?
My knees, and then my hips. I just my knees and my hips, and then I'm making sure my knees are going slightly wider than my toes. The big thing, and getting a big not a big arch, but like making sure my breath is good to keep a straight back.
Where do you feel most of the tension on the way down?
I'd have to say my glutes and my hamstrings going down, and then just trying to fire coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Like my first attempt is usually kind of slow. My third attempt, I'm trying to go down faster to get a dive bomb and get a little more recoil out of my knee sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do you think you actually get any recoil out of your knee sleeves?
the newer ones, yeah. Yeah, the newer ones I do. But the older knee sleeves, no, not so much. It was just more of probably tendons stretching, probably.
What size are you wearing? Curious. Are you into a medium yet?
No. The old knee sleeves, I could probably do it, but the new ones, like I'm wearing a 4XL in the Andersons.
Mm-hmm.
I was wearing a 3, but last meet I did a 3XL, and it took 3-4 people to get it on and get it off.
Mm-hmm.
But I got some sleeve slips, and then I was going to take my last heavy last week, 860 with the 3XLs, and I got my first attempt in, and I had the biggest shin splints. And then I couldn't get them off because there was nobody there to get them off, so I had to cut them off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just went back and put my 4XLs back on and finished my workout. But
As you're peaking for the meet, do you change your sleeves as the weeks progress?
no, I mean, if they start tearing, I do. But if they ain't tearing, then I ain't.
So you're going with the tightest that you can from 10 weeks out all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I could like I said, I could fit the 3XLs, but I need people to help get them off.
Yeah.
So
I'm just trying to go off like wrapped lifters sometimes will start with like a softer wrap and then work into the tighter wraps, which I could see that today, actually, people doing that with sleeves, because the sleeves are vastly different from a soft sleeve to the jacked.
Yeah, the new ones.
Yeah. New generation or whatever they are. And so you found a difference between the new generations to what they were 3 years ago?
Oh, for sure. Like, you definitely get recoil out of them.
Out of the bottom, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
And where do you feel it? Behind your knee?
Yes. Yep.
Do you do anything with the sleeves to get more? I probably will be like secret shit, right? Anything behind the knee to get more out of it? Like put an extra fold?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I try to keep the folds out because, like, I don't. It puts too much pressure behind my knees.
Mm-hmm.
It's uncomfortable to me, so I don't like to have the extra fold if I can help it.
So now when you're coming out of the squat, is that kind of like the deadlift, like, fuck it, I'm just standing up? Or are there things that you're consciously trying to do as you come up?
just keeping my head up is the only thing that I'm pushing, and keeping my head up, because if your body follows your head. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm really focused on, pushing.
Mm-hmm. Now because I got off track with this to get back to like the sticking points with you had the adductors and the glutes and all that stuff with that. And what's been the biggest sticking point that you've had, not sticking point, the biggest thing you've had to overcome with the squat? Doesn't matter through your whole time in the sport.
Probably my adductors was the biggest thing I've ever had to overcome, because like last year before the pro, I tweaked them twice, and then I was going to do the USPA pro 2 months after or whatever, and I tweaked them again, and I was like, I couldn't do it.
Now, when you tweak it, you pull it, how long does that put you out? Because that's not like a pec.
No. It depends how bad it was. I mean, you can feel and tell how bad it was, but if you've been in it long enough, you can tell. The first couple times was like 2 weeks, but the one after the meet, when I was getting ready for the USPA Pro, it was pretty bad, and it scared me. So I kind of took a step back and worked on my form. I went, and one of my buddies in Morgantown, he really helped me put together my squat. Him and Greeno both really helped me work my squat.
How long did it take for your confidence to come back? Because when something like that happens, it's like tearing a pec or something like that. If you tweak your pec enough, it's not that big of a deal. It's easier. But the first time, but adductors are different.
Yeah.
It'd be like a quad tear or something like that. There's apprehension, which works against you too. Mm-hmm. How long did that take with this one that you're talking about before it's never completely subsided?
Yeah.
Before it was subsided enough that you could actually drop hard in the squat and come out.
So that happened in September, and I probably didn't start squatting fast again until probably January, February, 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in that interim, what were you doing?
I started getting more massages more regularly. Started walking more to try to get the blood flow and getting that scar, trying to work the scar tissue. And
did you pull the squat out completely?
No, I was going probably 405, 495 for like probably 2 months.
Okay.
Just to get some blood flow in there and try to work it somewhat. I started doing a lot more accessory work for it instead of heavier squats or just doing working faster into my squat. So I would just do like more glute ham raises and belt squats and hack squats, more of those. How did
you determine the 405 to 495? Was it going to where you started to feel it, or did you stay completely away from where you would feel it?
I was going till I would start to feel it.
Okay.
So, I mean, sometimes it might have been a little heavier, but it was never above 550. Mm-hmm. Never. And then.
Now, when you say start to feel it, because again, I'm keeping the people who are listening in mind, because they're all not everybody, but they're going to deal with this.
Yeah.
It's not painful, right? But
no.
It's there.
Yeah.
Where you didn't feel it at 225 and 315, but then.
It'd be more of a stretching feeling.
Okay. And then this is the working weight.
Yeah.
So on some days it could be 365, other days 550.
Yeah.
It's not programmed.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
That's just
perfect.
Getting blood flow.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's probably late January, February. I was starting to feel better, and I was probably starting to push into the 7s around that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I started with Greeno in January, I think, and we've been working since then.
Have you had any issues with it this year?
Nope, not since I changed my squat form, and we really hammered my new squat form to get my body accustomed to squatting.
And that was bringing the stance in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Stance in more. My feet are almost straight now compared to how they used to be too, and then just spreading my hips going into the squat.
What was it? What was the adjustment with you putting your toes straight? Obviously, you're going to feel more in the quad immediately.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, you should feel more rebound out of your gut out of the bottom too. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But that also is going to feel weird in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. At first, definitely was really weird. It was definitely slow.
Well, your belly's going to hit your quads at a different place.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So your tendency would be to squat higher because it's going to hit sooner.
Yeah. So I just opened. The biggest thing was opening my hips.
Yeah.
Was the biggest thing to get around my belly. And
what do you mean opening your hips? Just the knees pushed out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that was why I wasn't getting deep enough, because my hips was still tight because of how I used to squat.
Got it.
And that's why my adductor was taking all the pressure from my hips, because my hips was tight.
So what were some of the other things that you did to open the hips up, just training wise, not just the squat?
We do a lot of the hip circle walks. I hate them. I freaking hate them. Just like a lot of accessory, not accessory, but isometric stuff, I guess. Bird dogs, like splits, kneeling splits. Worked on my stretching them out, my adductors out, my hips, just stuff like that to help get my hips loose.
All right. So staying on the same theme, but now with the pack, right? So that pops. You know, what does the training look like moving forward from that? Same type of thing? You just decrease the weight and stay out of that range? Or is it, fuck it, I'm just going to go on boards and get away and work around it?
Truthfully, luckily I haven't popped my chest for probably since I started with Credo. But I mean, right now, like, I'm getting close, though. I can feel it. Like, my outer chest is screaming. I can, like, it's there.
But you're pretty much done too. So
yeah. So I mean, we ain't going. We got one more heavy day going, the 620 probably, and then the rest will just be board presses, just to stay above the flex range of my chest.
So what do you think has helped contribute to that not coming on sooner? Right, because for meets before that, maybe where you're at now was happening 4 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
So what things have changed to allow that to not be the case? Because you didn't change your technique like the squat. So it had to be something training wise.
I'd have to say hitting a heavier volume more often on my bench during off season, and just me prep. I'm always hitting fairly heavy weight, and then hitting some back down sets after, heavier back downs compared to what I used to do. It would be, say back down would be like, right now it's like 445, 450 compared to like.
And that's off a top weight of what?
Off of I think our estimated max is like 650.
Okay. So a couple 100-pound back down. So 20% back down roughly.
Yeah. So yeah. It's definitely, bench has always been there, so I mean, it really helps with, because I'm my mind to muscle connection on my chest is really really strong, I guess you could say, because I do, that's the lift I've done the most and the most often. So I have a very good idea how to feel if something's going to happen or not.
How so? I mean, like just getting tight. So let's say you feel like something's going to happen. Is it just racking it? Or what's the process if that comes to be?
Just talking to Credo really, and he prescribes me like opening my chest up more. Like we do I forget what they're called, but they're like you V up against the wall and pull them out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember what they're called.
Your back's against the wall. Your chest is against the wall.
Chest against the wall.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be fun.
Yeah, it's different. It's awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it really helps open my chest up because we do more on my secondary day, and we do the shoulder protocol. You're out, you're like crossed out, you're laying on the floor, you're crossed out, palms down.
Yeah.
10 palms at an angle, and then palms up. That really helps open my shoulders up now.
All right. So it's the shoulder stability is what you're working on there.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a bathroom break real quick. Then I want to get into how your training leading into this program to where you are now, because it's essentially like done.
Yeah.
And it's, from what I can see, would you say it's been one of your best training cycles that you've had?
For sure.
So I definitely want to get into that, but I got to take a piss.
Right.
One of the ways that you can support the podcast is by purchasing or picking up our limited edition apparel. The shirt that I have on right now is one of the only shirts that we've brought back for a second time. Normally we'll never do that, but the only reason we brought this one back for a second time is it sold out within 6 hours. So we brought this one back. We also got a second one that we just dropped. It's our, I guess, just Halloween edition shirt. Go to elitefts.com or go to the link in the description. This really does help us out because this directly supports the Table Talk podcast. Thank you guys. Enjoy the show. You guys are selecting Merrick for your telehealth platform needs. They have a couple different ways that they go about doing this. The first is through a self-selected experience. So there's a Table Talk panel, which is the full panel. That would be the panel that I personally get twice a year. That's checking everything. You name it, it's all there. The other panel is a checkup panel with a guided optimization. You're connected with a patient care coordinator, and the patient care coordinator will meet with you to determine what your needs are, thing to be able to help optimize your health or mitigate without judgment. So the discount code again is Table Talk Merrick Health for all your hormone optimization and performance needs. All right, we're back. Where I want to go now, well, actually, before we get into that, is you've started using like ebook templates, then you've used several different coaches throughout your career. How do you decide what coach to go with? Let me change that, right? Because I don't want to put you in any kind of weird position. How would you suggest somebody go about selecting a coach to work with? Because let me also restate too for the other people out there. I think as you move through your career as a lifter, you're going to need to use different coaches.
Yes,
100%. But how would somebody go about trying to find a coach?
Yeah, if somebody's trying to find a coach, I'd say it depends on what other people say about them. There's always good and bad things, but I mean, it comes down to what you gotta paint your own picture. You know what I mean? You gotta figure out how they work for you and stuff. But it all comes down to what other people have to say about that person. For me, I mean, Travis was a really good coach for me, and he helped me grow a lot. And now that I'm with Credo, he's he's helping me grow even more. So, if they're not helping you, there is so many people out there that trains that you can find one that works for you. I mean, I'm not saying one person's better than the other or anything like that, but it's all preference.
I think it's I think there's a progression to it all that hasn't changed since I've been in the sport, where when you get to your top potential, whatever that is, everybody's going to be different. Some people don't have the same genetics as other.
Yeah.
And when you get to that top potential, you're going to have to know how your body works under the bar, you know, and how to make the decisions like we've been talking about throughout this. You have to know that.
Yes.
A coach can kind of help teach you what that is, but ultimately it's your responsibility to know that. And then when you get to that stage, which I'm not sure you can hack getting there a little bit faster than what it used to be.
Yeah.
But it's still going to take time because you have to feel.
Yes.
Like it's a big feeling thing. And then as you go through that whole process, the different coaches can help for different reasons.
Yes.
Where the end of the road, for lack of a better word, you know, the best coach that you'll have or any top lifter is going to have is the one that becomes more of a mentor than a coach, more of a consultant than a programmer.
Yeah.
You know, because at a certain point, you're going to be like, I kind of know what I need to know to do this. I just need somebody to make sure I don't do stupid shit, you know, to back off.
Yeah.
Right. Where early in the career with lifters, they don't work hard enough. They're not committed enough to go where they want to go.
Yeah.
Right. And that's probably more so today than in previous years. And I'm not just saying that because I'm old. I'm saying that because there's way more people in it. Right. Yeah. So it's just when you go from 20,000 to 500,000, obviously, it's going to be there. But when they get to the top, you guys need to like back the fuck off. You know, like these back off sets need to be, it has to be orchestrated a little bit better based upon. Yeah, but that comes from you. Then that coach just got to process what you're saying. Yeah. Right. And that's a different skill set because that's more of a communication skill set. Yeah, for sure. Then here's some X's and O's. Yeah. Where that communication skill set most certainly can't be done with the 19-year-old who's doing their first meet. Yeah. You know, like just fucking train hard. Yeah. Actually train way harder. You know, train twice a day, do stupid shit like that. Yeah. Because it's don't, but I mean, we can agree on that. Just don't. Yeah. But you can get away with it when you're that young because you recover like you're on all kinds of PEDs. Like they're dumb as fuck to go on PEDs because they're already on higher doses naturally. Yeah. And recover naturally. Imagine if you had like if you could recover now like you did when you were fucking 19. Yeah. Oh my God. It'd be hard to slow down. All right. So you've been working with Credo through the off season or just for how long?
Since January, I think. This is late January, early February.
All right. So about a year. So enough of the off season and then leading into the meet. Yeah. What did your off season look like leading into this meet?
It was just biggest thing was, like you said earlier, was communication, getting to learn what works for me and how I feel about what he prescribes and how it's working. So and just learning each other was a big thing. So I had a meet in June. So we had like a month and a half off season just to feel around, just feel how everything's moving with my adductor and working with my squats and then getting ready for that meet in June. Everything was moving good. my squat was starting to come. I mean,
that was a solid meet though, right? That was
Yeah.
the 23.75.
yeah.
Yeah.
So truthfully, I still didn't know how squats was going to go clear up to the meet, because I think I like strained a rib or something deadlifting. I think like as soon as I like was going to pull the barbell, my belt slipped down off my rib or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it just
Takes your breath
strained.
away.
Yeah, it was bad. Like I couldn't cough. If I coughed, I'd just lose my air,
Mhm.
or I'd sneeze, and I'd just have to sit there for a second just to
Mhm.
recoup. But so that happened like 5 weeks out from that meet, and my top squat was like 835, and it was ugly. So, and my top deadlift, I think we worked up to like 815 or something. We was going to work up a little heavier, but we just stayed back, left the rib heal. So for that, I moved my belt up for deadlifts to help keep pressure on that rib, and both ribs at the same time. Because I think I was doing like a tilted, my belt was tilted one way more.
Mhm.
So now that I got it more even and up in the front, so that really helped my deadlift, I guess, a little bit. And then
Out of all injuries to have, though, that's not a bad one to have.
no, it was pretty simple.
It just sucks because it hurts, but you
Yeah.
can still be strong.
Yeah,
The meathead hack for that is get one of those Velcro belts and just put it over your other belt while you train.
yeah, like a strongman belt.
Yeah, I didn't say that. But at least you can fucking train.
Yeah.
You know, because it really anyhow, just continue.
Yeah.
I don't want to like give people bad ideas.
Yeah, as long as you can fight through the pain, it's, you can live.
It sucks though. It definitely sucks. But
Yeah.
Okay, so anyhow, that meet goes well.
Yeah.
And
then I have we had probably another month and a half of off season, and then probably a month of off season, just still trying to learn each other a little more, a little better. Things are starting to click coming in to meet prep, and now we're seeing everything come together, I guess you could say now.
mm-hmm.
The talking, the pointers, him helping me with my squat and just my deadlift. My bench has always been there, but now it exploded there a little bit too. Everything is coming together. We're doing a lot of chain stuff. Like I've never really done chains until with Credo, and that's really helping me overload with not as much weight, so I can still work my top end with my triceps and still be heavy on the top end, but take a little off my chest.
So how is that implemented? Is that implemented with the main lift, or is it implemented are you still training each lift twice a week?
I bench twice a week, but I squat and deadlift once. So
all right. So with the bench, are the chains one day, then not the other?
Yeah. So Friday's my secondary lift,
and that would be the chain day.
Chain day.
Okay. Or band.
Yeah, chain or band. Yeah. But we've been working chains, and I think we switched from chains 5 weeks out and started board presses to work more, just to take some more pressure off my outer chest, because it was starting to get a little fussy. And then the two board really, I'm not getting the full stretch out of the bottom, so it's helping take some pressure off of that.
Now, what is your style on the boards? Do you let it sink, or do you a soft touch, or just like a normal pause? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Like my lighter sets, I'm usually a soft touch.
Mm-hmm.
My heavier sets, it's usually sink.
Okay.
So I'm still, because I sink when I regular bench.
Yeah.
So I still let it sink too with the heavier weights, because it's more of I'm getting that explosion out of my chest.
Yeah.
I'm working my diaphragm.
All right. So with the squats, before working with him, did you peel back the second day before that, or was that when working with him?
When working with him.
Okay.
So
then are you in the gym less days per week?
Yeah, I'm only lifting 4 days a week.
All right. So how was that to get accustomed to?
It was hard because like I just wanted to be at the gym. Because I don't know. I just like being there. I like talking to people. Probably too much sometimes. As shy as I am, if I know somebody, like I make it a thing to talk to them. If I don't know yet, like I'm pretty reserved. But
yeah, but being strong as fuck is also good.
it helps, like that's
you know, so if you had the choice of like talking to people all the time in the gym or being strong as fuck, I would say right now be strong as fuck and talk to people in the gym the whole rest of your life.
Yeah.
And then with the deadlifts leading into the meet, are you pulling heavy every week, or is it alternated? What does that look like? Because that can become a recovery issue.
Yeah. So 6 weeks out was our heaviest pull. And then I took a deload week, 5 weeks out. And then 4 weeks out was, I think, round opener. Last week was, yesterday. Yesterday I hit 835, smoked it. And then next week will be about opener again.
Okay, so is it 835 a projected opener?
Ish. Yeah, probably 820s, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but that's what we talked about.
And so now it's just coasting in.
Yep.
One more bench, and then that's it.
Yeah, one more heavy bench, and then it'll be tomorrow will be my last heavier squat.
What do you mean heavier? Like opener-ish?
No, it'll probably be like last warm-up, close to my last warm-up.
All right. When was your last heavy squat?
Last Sunday was 860.
So that would be 4 weeks out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the deadlift is 5 weeks out, squats 4, bench 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that falls into what I think would be good, you know, for a lifter of your caliber. Meanwhile, people that are listening are like, hey, you know, way I could, you know, you know.
It's hard. Like I want to push, but like that's why I have a coach to help pull back.
Mm-hmm.
So well,
the most important day is yet to come.
Yes.
Right. So you can't jeopardize, especially now.
Yeah.
You know, that for what that return will be there. How do you manage your body weight from the time, I call it like the starting line, the time you start peaking for a meet? So say it's 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it is. You're going to be 75s, right? So what do you weigh now?
In the morning, I'm usually around 285 to 287.
What were you 10 weeks ago?
Same.
Okay. So you just keep it.
Yeah. My body's pretty, unless I push the gear, I don't really deviate too much from that weight.
Mm-hmm. But that's part of it.
Yeah.
Right. So if with that, I assume it's pushed to where it needs to be pushed.
Yeah.
So like more's not going to come on at this point.
No.
It'd be stupid if it did.
Yeah.
Right. Because then that's just an additional water weight.
Mm-hmm.
Once the meet's over, how much of that water weight is attributed to that for you?
I hold a lot of water, truthfully. I think most of the weight I cut will be water. Like I usually don't really cut until 2 or 3 days out. Well, from weigh-ins.
Yeah. No, I mean after the meet. So after the meet, when you go back into off season, obviously the PEDs change to a degree. Then how much weight falls off just because of that?
Probably 5-7 pounds.
Okay. So that's not too bad.
So I'll drop down like 280-ish.
Yeah. So you're not like bloating into the meat because there's not enough that you're bloating up to.
Yeah.
All right. Now, do you have aspirations to go into the 308s?
Yes and no. It depends. Like my main goal, my future goal, I want a total 3,000 pounds in single ply, or it might be multiply, because I mean it'll probably, my total will probably go up because I just would prefer it that way. But
yeah, I mean if that's what the goal is, who gives a shit what you're wearing? Yeah,
and then it'll just come down to my weight. If I can do it at a lighter weight, then it's whatever. But if I have to be heavier, then I have to be heavier.
Yeah. So if that's that long-term goal that you have out there, when will you make the decision that that's what I'm going to go for?
It'll probably be when we...
Nope, we're back. Okay. You're good.
Probably when we move to Texas, so we would have a more lifting community. There'd be more people around to help me get in a suit and out of a suit and stuff. So
it's not a total or a number that you're looking for.
No. Because I mean, I feel like I have a lot of time to grow. So I mean, I really don't know what I would be happy with, but right now 3,000 is the end all goal for right now. So like I said, if I have to be 308 to hit that, then that's what it is. But if I don't, then 275 it is too. So
yeah.
I don't like cutting weight. So if I don't feel like cutting weight, then it's whatever. I don't want.
Well, I would say, if that's what your ultimate goal is, then you'd want to start that journey the healthiest you can.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So the longer you push raw numbers, the more risk you're taking before getting into the gear to push those.
Yeah.
But your raw strength most definitely is going to be a big base.
Yeah.
For getting it. Have you ever worn any of this stuff?
I've had a bench shirt on before, but I haven't had a squat suit or nothing.
All right.
But I mean, I'd probably deadlift raw, but
you're not going to get a lot. Yeah, unfortunately, you're not going to get a whole lot out of this. Well, some sumo guys can get some out of it.
Yeah,
but not like you're going to get out of the bench shirt.
Yeah,
or the squat suit. It's interesting. So then stance goes out, adductor strength. I mean, there's, but you've already had it out.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're going to get more out of that gear, with being wider than you are now.
Yeah.
100%. Is there a crew of people that are using gear where you're in Texas?
There used to be. The guy, we were planning to go down to Primal, and Blake Layhew, he used to be a geared lifter when he was younger, but so he'll have a pretty good idea, I think, to help me. Him and Greeno used to be multiply. So, and he'll be a lot closer too. So if anything, it'll be a lot closer to drive to there from Texas than from Maryland. So
when did you put your eye on that being what you wanted your ultimate goal to be?
Probably whenever I first saw Dave Hoff do it, probably. Like it was just, it took a lot to get there, So like, I just like the road, I like to, just something to beat, I don't know. I'm kind of competitive when it comes to that. Like I just want to be strong as fuck. So
well, of course. And there's only two people that have done it.
Yeah.
Which would be Donnie and Dave, I believe. So
Dave done it 3 or 4 times or something.
Yeah, I would have to think about it. Maybe more than that.
Yeah, it might have been more.
And probably another one coming up.
Yeah.
So, we'll see how that kind of plays out. But his off season went really well too. You know? So it's a good year for powerlifting from what from what I'm seeing right now, just across the board.
Yeah.
Like everybody is healthier. right? I don't want to say healthy, right? Because
Yeah.
everybody's going to have nicks and dings and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
But healthier than they've been in a long time,
Oh, yeah.
which is, I don't know why. I think, training wise, people are getting smarter. They're learning how to back off more.
Yeah. That, and I think the last couple of years kind of scared people. There's been a lot of deaths and stuff. So, so I think that kind of, I don't want to say scared them, but like just opened their eyes of how long they want to be around, I guess. But I don't know.
You currently, you might have your girlfriend's got clients and stuff like that, but your life doesn't revolve around powerlifting, right? Because you have a job and all the other, stuff that you do. Where, yes, it is. Powerlifting probably is still your top priority.
Yeah.
But you have all this other stuff, which is kind of a distraction because you're not in it, like all the time.
Yeah.
But you have aspirations to go into the coaching and all that to be in it all the time.
Yeah.
Do you see pros and cons associated with that decision?
Yes.
All right. What would be the benefit that you see?
Freedom, more freedom. It could be a con too, but that would probably be the biggest pro.
How do you see it as a con?
People get bored easy. There's a lot. There's just a lot of free time is not good for people. For me, at least. So I like to keep. Like to stay moving.
Yeah.
So
as you're learning more about programming, coaching, and all the other stuff, how are you going about that? Just speaking to other coaches, watching other coaches, reading. How are you acquiring?
I'm talking to Credo a lot, and just I wouldn't say talking to other coaches, but other people in general. You can find information everywhere. It might not be good information, but you'll learn something from that information. But like I said, I want to eventually go to do some kind of certificate training, like get a certificate in training. What's that one? The CIA, the
NSCA?
Yeah.
Or
something like that. And then just that would be a start, and then just learning and reading would be the biggest thing, because that's what I've always done. So for lifting wise, at least.
Yeah. We're being on the other side of that, right? So being just the athlete that's powerlifting and then working with other coaches, you have a different perspective on all of it than people that's all they've ever done.
Yeah.
Is all that. So having that different perspective, where would you say a lot of coaches are falling short working with lifters? Because you're the lifter. You see what I'm saying? You speak to other lifters. So you hear what other lifters are saying and all that. So it's very easy for you to see, here's where these guys are falling short, where it's not easy for them to see because they all speak amongst themselves.
Yeah.
So what are the shortfalls that you see?
The biggest thing I'd probably say is communication, because in favoritism, some people like you hear it, so and so gives this other person all this attention and talks to him all the time, and this other person he or she don't really talk to, and so they are falling behind, and then that's when they leave. So I would say that would probably be the biggest downfall. It's favoritism. You got to treat everybody the same, whether it's, if you treat them bad, you treat them bad, but if you treat them good, you got to treat them all good,
Well, you never know who's going to be the top lifter either.
Yeah.
You get them young enough, you have no idea.
Yeah, for sure. So I'd say that'd probably be the biggest downfall.
What would be another one?
Just probably make some people mad, but probably like cookie cutter programs, just giving one program to a lot of people, the same program, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's I mean, it's good, but it's also can be bad for it's a good for a beginner program, you know, beginner people getting into lifting, trying to learn their body, and they don't really want a lot of help, you know. But somebody that needs more attention, somebody more of an elite lifter, needs more more specific programming, you know. That could be a downfall. But
I'm going to stretch you now, and I'm going to ask for a third. Now you got to think harder.
I mean, online coaches is good and bad, but I mean, you get a lot more. I feel like you can get a lot more progression from being in person. You can actually help the person learn movement patterns better, walk them through lifts better. You know, you don't have to be on your phone 24/7. You're right there helping them.
Do you think that could be accomplished in some regard online?
Yeah, if the coach is good enough, I think that definitely, if good enough and able to communicate,
Yeah,
how he or she sees the lift being performed, you know, they could definitely do it. But not a lot of people is good at communicating like myself, so I'm more of a hands-on kind of person.
Understanding that your priorities are 100% focused on this meet coming up, how committed are you to actually wanting to do this coaching thing in the future?
In the future, oh, I'm probably 80% as of right now.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind there's a meet in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks, so,
but I mean, it'll probably be when I'm a little older where I can put more time into it and not focus on myself as much.
mm-hmm.
I can focus more on the lifter coming in and me going out, you know?
Yeah.
So that'd probably be when I'm a lot more knowledgeable on lifting too, because it'll take some time to learn just different movement patterns, because nobody's the same.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to learn how everybody moves, and you got to put a lot of time in to learning different ways to help different people.
If you're in a gym with a handful of lifters, or say 10 lifters, and they're all squatting or benching or deadlifting, any of the main lifts, is it pretty easy for you to see things that are a little fucked up?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Where I'm going with this is the 3 things that you said are the pitfalls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 3 things that you need to learn the most on. And those really aren't programming and movement patterns, right? Yeah. Because if you're to do this, you know, speaking just from like the business sense, if you're to do this, but then you hyper focus on those 3 things, which are 3 shortfalls in the market that I think pretty much everybody will agree with.
Yeah.
But not everybody does those 3 things.
Yeah.
Then if you can do those 3 things and do those effectively, then all the other stuff like the CSCS or the NSCA doesn't mean fucking dick.
Yeah.
Right? Because those aren't going to get you clients.
Yeah, for sure.
Those 3 things will actually get you clients, and then keep clients, and then have clients that refer other clients.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's being able to take somebody like yourself, as you, admittedly, you said you're not the greatest with communication, but in the gym, you're probably 1,000% different person,
Oh yeah.
than trying to communicate with somebody on a podcast or in a social environment or fucking dinner or like relatives and just stupid shit like that.
Just,
it's different. But I think it takes somebody like that to be able to close that gap. Because most people that are in this sport are like that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would advise you to put that focus in learning those things. Like, how do you communicate with the people that are, you're not hard to communicate with people that, I don't want to say hard to communicate with, because that's not true, that are introverted.
Yeah.
More introverted.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, right? I see it as a really good thing, actually. But you do that, then you'll have no problem.
Yeah.
That's why I asked too, though, if you can go in a gym and just watch lifts, right? There's, for anybody that's been around as long as you have, or anybody that's been around 2 decades or 10 years, there's most of the shit you're going to see is glaringly fucked up.
Yeah.
It's very, you get to a top lifter and then you're like, it's harder to see, but I have a feeling you can even spot that.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be easy to see, but the solution's going to be the harder thing to figure out.
Yeah.
Because it could be 4 different things, 5 different things. But here's the validation, which goes to everything that you've said earlier too. Do you even need to know what they are if you know how to communicate with the person, because they'll tell you?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where the lack of knowledge in that area can become an asset, because then you have to rely on that person that you're working with to be able to tell you what they think. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's where I see a lot of the deficiencies with the coaching now. It's that doesn't exist, as I'm sure you've seen with friends of yours that work with other coaches.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. But what does exist is, here, do this. Right? You're like, all right, that works when you're 19.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It works for a while until things get hard.
Yeah.
Then when things get hard, personally, I think you have to be a person that's gone through those hard things to know.
Yeah, for sure.
It sucks when your lift only goes up 5 pounds a year, right? But everybody is going to get to that place.
Yeah.
And unless you've never been through that place, it's hard to, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to communicate that.
Yeah.
Because once you break that, it doesn't go up 5 pounds. It's up like 40 out of nowhere.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, it's not a linear progression. It's like these steps. And then you look back like, what the fuck? Like, how did I not know that?
Yeah.
But then you do, right? And I think if you look back just through your own journey, you're going to find those pivot points.
Yeah.
Each one of those led to this boom, this whole other thing.
Yeah.
Which kind of boils back to the communication of somebody kind of pulling it out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The communication is definitely, for both people, like you said, the lifter telling the coach, and then the coach eating up the information and prescribing what needs to be done.
Yeah, and building the relationship with the athlete to be able to have them have trust in what you're saying.
Yeah,
will actually be worth the risk in trying, because there's no guarantee with anything that any of these coaches have ever told you that it's going to work.
Yeah.
It's all educated guessing. It's some things don't work, some things do work, some things work for reasons that you don't know why the fuck it works, but it's just an educated guess, and a lot of things don't work. It's just how training works.
Yeah.
Where I think a lot of aspiring coaches kind of get, yes, I do think you need to learn basic programming and all that kind of shit. I do think that.
Yeah.
But I think they'll get so lost in the minutia of the X's and O's and all this crap and all the movement patterns and all this other kind of shit, which, yes, it matters. It makes a difference. Yeah. But we can sit here and flip on videos of many top lifters and say, that's a little fucked up, right? But it's an all-time world record. So is it? You know, because everything's going to be a little, you know, structured to whoever they are.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, they're
what works for them.
What works for them. And it may not be what actually works for their leverages, which has always kind of messed with my head a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that looks ugly, but it always, you know, pans out. And if you made it look nice, maybe they lose 150 pounds on their squat. You know, or bench.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever the lift's going to be. Do you have plans on when you'll move to Texas?
January. Yeah. Probably mid-January. That's what we're looking at right now. So.
And is this move 100% just for powerlifting, or is there work down there that you're looking at?
100% powerlifting. Yeah. So
you'll figure the other shit out when you get there.
Yeah, because I'm in the union. I can find work pretty much anywhere. I mean, the only thing that I might have to do is take a test or pay some dues to get into the local. But other than that, I can work anywhere in the U.S. So not that big of a deal for me.
What are the plans after the American Pro?
Probably start getting into some gear. I was wanting to go single ply, but somebody said there's not a lot of competition single ply, so I might go multi-ply. But
I don't know. That's a tricky thing because sometimes I spend way too much time on open powerlifting.
Yeah.
And the unlimited, you know, the band shirt is kind of like fucked the total numbers up a lot.
Yeah.
Because you can look at, you know, single ply, and the majority of the single ply is still going to kind of be IPF oriented, right? Outside of that, I think all you really have is USPA, I believe. There's not a lot.
Yeah.
And then even in multiply, there's way less than there is in sleeves or wraps and stuff like that, which everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But then if you go look at unlimited, the numbers become huge, right? But that's Texas high school powerlifting is all listed in unlimited.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I filter this out? You know, it's, you know what I'm saying? If we could pull that out, then because I was trying to figure out just in that multiply unlimited space, which area has more lifters?
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, the fucking high school power, it screws it all up. So I don't know. I really don't know, because that becomes a weird thing in this geared world, because band shirt is going to have way more carryover.
Yeah.
Right. So would the 3000 be easier with the band shirt? Yeah, probably. You know, so I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's if it's WPO, then it's an easy answer.
Yeah.
It's just straight multiply, because they're not going to allow the band shirts as of this conversation now.
Yeah.
You know, which kind of goes into that direction, which I believe is, if it's geared, that's where most people are going to probably aspire to, is either that or the WPC worlds.
Yeah.
You know,
because I mean,
it's
live broadcast. I mean, and there's a lot of money be given at those meetings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would attract a lot of people.
So that would be where I don't want to put anything like in solid guaranteed, would be to get into the gear, then to find and qualify for the WPO.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, something like that.
So if that happens again in the Olympia, which we hope that's the case.
Yeah.
Then that would be November. So you'd have to find something around June, July, right around there.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. That would probably put me in a pretty good spot.
Is there anything that you see you would have to change outside of just putting the gear on with your training, or anything outside? Well, obviously having people around spot, shit like that. So anything outside of that you see that you would have to change to be able, with training wise?
Not too much, I don't think. I mean, it would come down to what my deficiencies would be in the gear.
Yeah.
That would what it come down to, I guess. Because it'll be different. So, I think that would be the only thing that would change would be whatever the deficiency was.
There could be, and Greeno should know this. So there could be your frequency, like squats is going to have to decrease because it could be, I mean, once you get acclimated to it, 150, 200 more pounds on your back, which is harder to recover from. Just because of the spinal loading. Same with a bencher, your forearms, which are already thick as fuck, but they're going to take a beating, so the bench doesn't have to be dialed back as much. And you got people around that kind of know what they're doing, but I've known some lifters in multiply that are up, over 1,000-pound squat that end up getting to a point where they can really only squat really heavy once a month.
Oh yeah.
So it dials back, but they know when to do it as well. So it's not like they can force it because it just feels like you got run over by a truck.
Yeah.
So how you feel after a meet is how you'll feel after a squat.
Oh, okay.
That kind of, I just got fucking, well, I'm assuming here, do you feel that way after a meet? Like you just got beat by a truck?
Last meet? No, last meet I felt great. Like I was like, man, I had so much more weight left in me.
Wow, that's great. So the next day you didn't feel your joints and everything were not pounded. Yeah, that will change. that will definitely change.
I was like, man, I had so much more weight. I just I found out like 3 weeks or a month before the meet, I could take the record, and I was like, well, that's what we're going to do. And then that was my mindset. I didn't care by how much, but we already had everything planned out. So, and everything flew, truthfully. So, I think I had at least 10 pounds on every lift, at least. So
it looked like it. I mean, but when you watch a video, that's one thing compared to being under it.
Yeah,
which is another weird thing with the sport, right? Because you can watch somebody like smoke something, then you talk to them, like, man, no, that was hell.
Yeah.
Or something that looks rough. Like, no, man, that was easy. I was going to fucking theme park the next day. No big deal.
Yeah.
Like, how in the fuck? Everybody responds different.
Yeah.
Definitely. Keeping that same thought in mind with, I should have asked this earlier when we were talking about how you pivot your training. If it squat, which lift taps into your recovery more than the others? Is it the squat?
Yeah.
All right. So if it's a squat day, then those top sets were rough. Do you still do all your accessory work, or do you peel it back a little bit?
I still do it all, but I might lower the rep, like not the reps, but the weight. Because like Greeno gives me free range with the weight on my accessories, so I just kind of, I can play with it. So it's not that big of a deal if I go lighter or anything. So
now I assume you're intentionally doing that. If you're intentionally doing it, are you doing it with the mindset of, if I push this stuff even harder, then my deadlift day is going to suck, or my bench day is going to suck?
No, it's more of just, cause I mean, I can, my deadlift days like 3 days after or 4 days after my squat. So I feel like I can recover enough with that. My bench day, I don't really use my legs as much on my bench. It's more of just stabilization for me. I mean, I do leg drive a little bit. I mean, it's hard not to, but it's very minimal for me. But so, it depends on what I did at work, basically, on how. It depends on work and then how my lifts go. If my lifts are rough, then I'll usually draw back my accessories. But if my lifts felt good, I feel good, I push my accessories.
Yeah.
So then if I dial it back, I usually work on form more and getting more of a squeeze. So I'm still getting a good lift, sometimes even a better lift because the blood flow is even better, but on the days I dial it back.
Your deadlift has been the hardest one for you to build. So what was the hardest number to overcome? Was it 700? Was it 750? Was it 800? Where did it become really rough for you to fight through?
I'd probably say like the 800 to 815 range has probably been the hardest so far. I was stuck at like it seemed like 2 or 3 meets in a row I hit like 800, 815, and like 798, or I was just right there. And then the following meet, it seemed like I went up to 832, and I felt like I started to break out of that plateau, I guess you could say, a little bit, but I still would fall back a little bit to the 815. But now, like, that I've broke past that, I feel like my deadlift has jumped a lot since I broke through that. I went from, so last year at the pro, I did, my top was 837, and I jumped to 854, which I knew I had, but it just wasn't there that day. But then this past meet, I hit 854, and I felt like I had another 20 pounds in me this past meet. So,
what are the things that you think helped overcome that?
I think getting in a better position and pulling the slack better has definitely helped a lot for me, because now I can explode. I'm more explosive with the more slack, because it's not as low and I'm not as forward as I used to be. I'm more straight up in my back.
So the patience of that.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think that's where people get confused, is they hear explosive, then they try to initiate explosive.
Yeah. And then they just tilt forward.
Yeah.
And it's all lower back.
Yeah. But it's a little bit of a mind fuck too.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're pulling, but you're not, which is a different thing.
Yeah.
But for you, it's a big change.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting an extra inch off the floor, so I can sit into the bar better, I guess you could say, and I'm getting more pressure in my stomach, I guess. And when I get explode, it's coming out of my stomach through my feet.
Yeah.
So
if $10 million just fell in your lap, what would you do? Obviously, you're moving to Texas. You're not going to work, but what do you do?
That's hard. There's a lot of things I would want to do, but
what came to your mind first?
Open a gym. But because then I can train people in person. I can be there all the time. I'd have I'd have enough support to where I didn't have to work, and I can focus all my attention to that. I would be there all the time. And then I have the knowledge to do a lot of upkeep and stuff to the gym. So if anything happened, I wouldn't really have to out of pocket. So
what created the pause in the answer, right? Because you didn't just say open a gym immediately. You thought it, but then you didn't say it. It's like, because then you start thinking, do I really want a gym and have to deal with all that bullshit?
No. It's because there's a lot of good gyms already in Texas that have a good family, like a good group of people already there.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want somebody from that gym to come to my gym because it was my gym. And, I just felt like...
But you have $10 million.
Yeah. So...
Do you really fucking care?
Yeah.
I guess you still need the community, though.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So the community of that lifters is going to be more important, potentially, because you don't have it. I mean, if you had the $10 million, it's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's just
one thing.
Talking, right?
Yeah.
But the community could be more important than that from the lifting side.
Yeah, for sure.
But you're still lifting.
Yeah. But maybe just buy into a gym would be a better solution than buying my own.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what came to mind first, was opening a gym for sure. But
that's odd. Hold on. Pause. What the hell is that?
I don't know. That was weird.
We're haunted, by Bluetooth through the speakers. Oh, I bet I know what it is. I think Twan's using the iPad that was out here because he's trying to get it ready for Swiss.
Yeah.
And it probably had Spotify or something like that. Either way, for those that don't know, like country music just started blaring through. You don't need to cut it out. It's no big deal. But if you had your own gym, that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I could.
Right. So then what music would be playing?
Rock, metal. I mean, it wouldn't really matter, but towards that end, probably.
Mm-hmm. That's a broad category.
Yeah. Because
So,
I mean,
what do you listen to?
I listen to a lot. Disturbed, ATWR, and
Disturbed. Every fucking powerlifter. AC/DC and Disturbed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I usually just listen to whatever the gym's playing. So just because
Does that even matter to you anymore?
No.
Was there a time it ever did?
No, I just blare it out.
Mm-hmm.
So it don't really bother me. I mean, I played high school. Well, you play football, and there's always music and people playing. So you gotta clear your thoughts and do your thing.
Well, you said earlier too that your diet was trash. So how trash is trash? Do you have any emphasis on trying to get protein in?
Yes, I have at least 30 to 40 grams of protein a meal. But
okay.
Other than that,
well, how many meals? That should be the question there.
6.
Okay. All right. So that's other than that, it's just whatever.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. I mean, that's better than just total trash.
Yeah. I mean, I just like I might just go to McDonald's and it'd be like whatever, but I try to get like 4 sandwiches, so I'm trying to get that would come down to calories, but it wouldn't really matter. It doesn't matter to me.
Have you ever noticed a difference if the protein isn't there? Let's say you go a week or so and the diet's just like rock bottom trash. Do you notice a difference in your training, or does it not make a difference because the calories are so high it washes it out?
I think I'd say I'm a little more sluggish, but I mean, the lifting is still good. I'm still getting good.
A little more sluggish.
Yeah, just
so you're sluggish all the time. To be honest?
I'm more. I'd say more mentally not there. I wouldn't want to be there as much.
Okay.
I would rather be somewhere else. But I mean,
have you pointed out or figured out why? Is it like sugar intake, or is it just the lack of the protein?
Probably sugar.
Yeah.
Most definitely, probably.
What are things that frustrate you about the sport now? See, you're kind of in a good position unless you can like be on your phone while you work, which I'm assuming is not really the case.
No.
So you're not around all that shit all the time?
Yeah.
But what do you find the most frustrating?
Probably there ain't an actual like pro. You're not a pro. It's not mainstream enough for that. I mean, there are people trying to make it that way, but I'd say that's really the only thing that really bothers me, really. I mean, it don't really bother me, but that's the thing that stands out the most. Yeah.
But it doesn't change your training one way or another.
No.
Because you still have this meat.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the conversations I seem to have too many times with lifters is no matter what's going on in the sport, you're still 4 weeks out.
Yeah.
You're still 6. None of this matters.
Yeah.
Like that matters, and if you let all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Like why?
All that matters is your next total.
Yeah.
if you beat your old one. So I mean, I don't let things like that really bother me. I'm more straight and narrow. I mean, I'm focused
Mm-hmm.
on what I want. It doesn't matter what everybody else wants, kind of thing, or what everybody else thinks. I mean, they might think I'm some nobody, but I'm just here to lift.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter.
Earlier, you said that when you were younger, part of the preparation for the training was a pre-workout type. Do you still use any of that shit, or is that?
Yeah. I take Reach supplements. I'm sponsored by them now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really helped me, truthfully, because like I feel even more focused in the workout because it has a lot of nootropics and stuff in there, and it's really helped me focus more on lifting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really helped. So, but I mean, I still take my Ritual too. And I usually drink it with a Monster or something. So
yeah. So the Monster and the shit is the Ritual.
Yeah.
Now at the same time.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. So what flavor Monster?
I like the green apple.
Oh God.
That's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
That one.
You know what? I shouldn't complain because for me, it's purple all the way. The green apple was kind of a close second for a while.
Yeah.
Then it just got nasty. They all kind of get nasty after a while.
Yeah. I do like the new ones every once in a while. I like the strawberry kiwi or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then the old pink one. I like that one too. But I don't know what flavor it is. But
how many of those will you go through a day?
2. I'd usually have one in the morning and one pre-workout with my pre-workout.
Yeah.
So I drink them a lot. Probably too much.
Yeah. Yeah. With the non-tested side, have there been any lessons that you've learned on that? Were you one of them that went down the road that you find what's optimal, for what you need to recover?
Yeah.
But then as we all end up, you think more's better and then go that route. And then all of a sudden recovery's fucked up.
Yeah, I guess when I was younger, I was taking a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I blew up to like 305. And I felt sluggish again and I felt like trash just because I was holding on so much water. It wasn't very healthy for me. So I dropped it down, and it seems dropped it enough to where I'm getting good recovery and good response from it, but not small enough not to do nothing.
Yeah.
So
how would you gauge or how would you explain? Because for most people, the stuff's going to be black market, right?
Yeah.
They should be going to Merrick Health, like on the hat. They'll help you. Their sponsor plug. But anyhow, most aren't, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of left with this feeling thing, kind of like with the training, to where you start or you're on all the time, but it changes, right? So there's different protocols with that. Then you'll feel certain things to know that it's working or not.
Yeah.
And then the dose is kind of based upon that. Not saying that the dose going up means that it's actually going up. It just means that the shit's probably half what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right. So what are the markers in your training that you feel when you feel it start working?
Usually blood flow, like my hands. If I can squeeze my hands and I feel pressure, I feel like it's usually pretty good. That and that's usually the best response for me because I've done it long enough to where.
Do the weights feel more explosive?
Yeah, they can. whenever I go up, they do. Just feels sometimes just feels like you can't stop, like you just want to keep lifting.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, recovery is definitely the easiest answer, right?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
That's normally not the answer that I find most lifters figure out. It's usually like the explosiveness or a little bit more aggressiveness. But on the flip side of that, there can be too much aggressiveness, which is the side that it needs to peel down, right? So if those are the markers on, that it's doing what it's supposed to do, what would be the markers to where, it probably needs to peel down outside of the sluggish part? Because that's you shouldn't run into that anymore, because that's too high of a dose for too long.
Yeah.
Right. Normally you're going to pivot before that happens.
Usually my mental health, it starts to deteriorate. Like I feel like
anxiety or depression.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
And I get more paranoid. Yeah, for sure.
Then when you peel back, does it subside?
For the most part. I mean, it's still there, but I mean, I usually can fight it off better.
Yeah.
Myself. Without any outside factors.
Yeah.
So that's as of right now, that's what's been bothering me lately. But
well, you're
2 weeks out.
Yeah. So it's
a good
there's a lot of things you got to deal with it 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
Your pec's feeling tight. It's just kind of all part of the process. Any topics that you wanted to go over that I didn't bring up? I don't know shit about Pokemon, man. I was sitting there talking. That's Owen. I don't know anything about that.
No, like I said, like I told Sheena and them, I'm not. This is my first time doing something like this, so I mean, I don't have the experience to have questions, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But
no, you did good. I mean, for your first time, you did good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're about midway. When you took the bathroom, right before you took the bathroom break, I was like, I'm starting to ramble.
Yeah. Ramble? Yeah. I don't think you have a problem with the rambling. There's no problem with that. With all the lifts that you've done and all the meets that you've done, when you think back on all them, what's the most memorable lift that you have?
I'd probably say the last one, because like it just seemed like everything was clicking.
And what do you mean the last one?
My last meet.
Okay.
In June.
Yeah.
Everything was clicking. I came out of it unscathed, healthy. I felt like I could do it again the next day, truthfully. And like it just, and I beat Larry, but
yeah,
I beat Eric Lillibridge, and he's like one of the bigger names in powerlifting, I think. So I think that one was the most memorable so far. I mean, I'm still not happy with it, but I mean,
yeah,
there's always more.
Well, it feels awesome, like after the deadlift, right?
Yeah.
Then it feels awesome in the warm-up room. Then you get back to your hotel, you're like by yourself. Then
it's just decompress and think.
Yeah. Then you got to process and think, fuck, I got to do this again.
Yeah.
Right? Or how do you best it? So what's that conversation look like after all that goes away? Not that, but after all the accolades. Because at a meet, everybody's because they know. Like everybody there at the meet knows what you just did.
Yeah.
Where it's and any lifter knows what you just did, and it's cool as fuck. But the lady at the reception desk of the hotel don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Waiter or waitress at dinner doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. So then you come back to the real world. Then what's processing through your mind at that point?
Back to work.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's always more. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not happy with what I've done so far, but like I've not reached a point where I am proud of, I guess, yet.
That may never happen, dude.
Yeah.
You just say you're not done yet.
Yes.
You know, so that's the easiest way to say that.
Yeah.
You know, just not done yet. After, I didn't ask this earlier, but after a meet, do you take any time off?
No. I'm usually, I mean, like the first week, like I'll just go play around at the gym and just go do all the stuff that I don't do in my programming and stuff. I'll just go play around. And I mean, if I work out for an hour, I work out for an hour. If I work out for 2, it's whatever. But I mean, I just go in and get some blood flow and do whatever.
Do you have an idea of what the next meet is before you do it? For instance, you know what this meet is here in a couple of weeks. Do you know what the next one's going to be after that?
Yes and no. It'll come down to whenever I start getting into gear for that, and it depends on what goes on with WRPF nationals and stuff like that. It just because they're coming out with, like, they're trying to make it mainstream, I guess, and make it a season. So you'll have regionals, nationals, and then the American Pro will be the big shebang at the end of the year, I guess. So that would be whatever nationals comes, I guess.
All right. So you're going to try to play both worlds for a while.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that'll be a good, if I only squat in gear once a month, like, that your buddy,
sure.
I'll be raw the rest of the time, just building my base.
Yeah.
So that's the idea for right now. Playing both worlds, just like you said.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Hopefully it wasn't boring.
Oh my God.
No. No, nothing.
All right, then say something that you know is not going to be boring.
Wait and see what happens in 2 weeks.
There we go. So we'll end on that. Thank you for coming out. Yeah, I look forward to seeing what you're doing. You're fucking killing it right now, which is why you're out here. So I appreciate you coming out.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I'd love to. I can't wait to see you train tomorrow. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're done. One of the ways that you can support the podcast is by purchasing or picking up our limited edition apparel. The shirt that I have on right now is one of the only shirts that we've brought back for a second time. Normally we'll never do that, but the only reason we brought this one back for a second time is it sold out within 6 hours. So we brought this one back. We also got a second one that we just dropped. It's our, I guess, just Halloween edition shirt. Go to elitefts.com or go to the link in the description. This really does help us out because this directly supports the Table Talk podcast. Thank you guys. Enjoy the show. You guys are selecting Merrick for your telehealth platform needs. They have a couple different ways that they go about doing this. The first is through a self-selected experience. So there's a Table Talk panel, which is the full panel. That would be the panel that I personally get twice a year. That's checking everything. You name it, it's all there. The other panel is a checkup panel with a guided optimization. You're connected with a patient care coordinator, and the patient care coordinator will meet with you to determine what your needs are, thing to be able to help optimize your health or mitigate without judgment. So the discount code again is Table Talk Merrick Health for all your hormone optimization and performance needs.